Mort Zuckerman, the always outspoken Mort, is the chairman and CEO of Boston Properties, and he joins us now. Mort, great to see you again.
Good to be here.
So now you're picking on Ben Bernanke? What's going on?
No, I think he's doing what he has to do. It's just that the only way that we're going to be able to finance, $1.5 trillion of debt every year is to have the Federal Reserve buy a big chunk of it, which is exactly what's been going on. And that is sooner or later going to blow up. The fact is, anybody with a room temperature IQ in fiscal economics knows we are heading for a fiscal cliff, and we're going to fall off sooner or later.
Right, but what the Fed has done, throughout this crisis and what it's doing in terms of buying treasuries and stimulating the economy is only one small part, right, of this entire fiscal situation that we find ourselves in.
Oh, right. I mean, the real problem in the fiscal situation does not come from the Fed. It comes from the fact that the Congress and the President won't get together and do what we have to do. They're all playing politics with the issue. They're playing short-term politics. They're not operating in the long-term interests of the country. The fact is, we have to do something about it. Erskine Bowles, who was the co-chairman of the Bowles and Simpson Commission, put it very well. He said, this is the most predictable crisis we have ever had in our history. We all know it's going to happen. The only issue is, do we have political leadership in this country? It requires presidential leadership. We didn't get presidential leadership. We got a political attack on the Republicans. That was all we got out of that thing. That is not the way to solve it. If you make this thing into a political clash, neither party will be able to find a way to get together.
So what do you want the president to do then?
I want the president to take serious leadership and make serious proposals instead of just saying we can't do anything about Medicare.
He's made his proposals, though. You don't take them seriously?
No, they're not serious, because he said we're basically not going to touch Medicare and Medicaid. They're basically off the table. But you can't solve the problem without dealing with Medicare and Medicaid. So everybody knows that's just a political statement. And to attack Ryan's proposals in the way that they did, and then to use commercials and television commercials all over the country, attacking it as if the poor Republicans just want to do nothing other than damage the elderly in America, that's preposterous.
Okay, so attacking entitlement programs, that's one thing that you want him to do.
You have to. You cannot deal with it. You cannot solve the problem without addressing Medicare and Medicaid and indeed Social Security.
And what else? What are the other, it's not just going to be about that to get our debt down.
We're going to have to cut our expenditures as well. We're going to have to reduce our defense expenditures. We're going to have to cut back in every way we can. We simply can't sustain. It is literally unsustainable to live the way we are living. We have already seen, you see where the S&P is now reviewing, would you believe, the financial creditworthiness of the U.S. government, where Bill Gross and PIMCO have both stated publicly that they're selling all of their Treasury stock, and they're going to be, not only that, they're going to sell Treasury stock shorting it.
Yeah.
Now, that's amazing when you think about that. People would do that with respect to the United States securities, Treasury securities. But that's because they fear...
Would you follow their lead, by the way, in short Treasuries?
I wouldn't buy U.S. Treasuries at this point if that's a pure financial matter. Why should you? You know that there is going to be a crisis. I don't know when it's going to happen. Nobody knows exactly when it's going to happen. It's unprecedented and therefore unpredictable. But why get involved in that kind of a picture? But if it does happen, we'll have all the bond vigilantes selling off Treasury bills. Interest rates will therefore go up. The economy will slow down. We don't need that.
Mort, would you also be prepared for tax increases, big tax increases on the wealthy?
Some tax increases, yes, also on the wealthy. I've supported that for a long time. Everybody's going to have to pay their share, including the wealthy. There is absolutely no way that we're going to get out of this. And frankly, we should. Those people, those of us who frankly have been blessed to do well in this country, have to pay more. I totally support that. But there are major programs, including Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, that we all know are basically going to have to be adjusted, because those are the driving forces for the soaring deficits we're looking at in the future.
More, I want to ask you, throughout all of this crisis, you've talked, you've written in editorials about Obama's, leadership, his decisiveness. Some would say that what we saw on Sunday night with Osama bin Laden and his killing shows that the president can be decisive when he needs to be, and to great success.
Well, I take nothing away from that decision-making process nor from the results. But we are now talking about something that is very different. Okay, we are talking about something that is going to affect the short-term political situation of both parties, because people are going to have to absorb some pain. The people who are going to be the recipients of Medicare and Medicaid, the people who are going to have to be the recipients of Social Security, and the people who are going to have to pay more taxes. That's a much more difficult political issue. But that is one of the most important issues.
So tackling the budget is much more difficult.
Totally different kind.
Right.
Absolutely. That is where we need leadership, because in fact, the country's future is literally at stake. And this is something, we're now into what, the third year of Obama's administration? Where is the leadership on this issue? You cannot go ahead and demagogue the issue. You cannot say we're not going to touch Medicare and Medicaid. That's pure politics. That's short-term politics, not in the long-term interest of the United States. Nor can the Republicans say we're not going to allow any tax increases. Everybody's got to contribute to the solution to this problem.
But don't you think there will eventually be a middle ground?
We'll find out. We'll find out. So far, it's much more difficult than it needs to be because both sides are now playing politics with it. I give the Republicans credit because they put a very, very bold program on the table. I don't yet give the Democrats credit because all they did was attack the proposal instead of offering a serious proposal. That is why I hope that a joint committee, this group of six, you name it,
the
Joe
Gang of
Biden's
Six,
group,
right.
the Gang of Six, if they can come together with a proposal. Simpson and Alan Simpson and Erskine Bowles came up with a very, very serious and thoughtful proposal.
So you like what the Gang of Six is doing, and you like the Simpson-Bowles Commission recommendations.
Absolutely.
Those are the two things you like.
So far, yes.
You voted for Obama.
Yes.
What would it take for you to support him again for re-election?
That they solve this problem. This is the most important problem facing the country. If this doesn't meet the test of presidential leadership, then he should not be reelected. If he meets the test of presidential leadership on this issue, which to me is by far and away the most serious issue facing the country, then I think we're all in a different ballgame.
Okay, but I mean, we may not solve all of the budget issues by 2012, but what would signal to you that he's finally made the right step?
We have to make a long-term political decision in the interests of the country. The Democrats are going to have to yield and the Republicans are going to have to yield. We must do something about this. This cannot continue. You never know when this whole system will break apart, when the bond vigilantes will say, we're just not going to do anything. We are doing damage to this country every single day and every single week. If this interview takes 5 minutes, for example, we're running up $4.1 billion of debt every single day.
Okay, so this is certainly costing us millions right now, right?
Just this conversation alone is a couple of $100 million of debt.
More money well spent, though, to talk with you. Mortimer Zuckerman of Boston Properties.